I would describe the 1969 Penn State team in 2 words: pride and poise. Pride to be the best and realization of what it takes to have poise. Hard work and preparing well.
September 21st, a 1969 debut at Annapolis. For the 3rd year in a row, Charlie Pittman runs wild against Navy. 176 yards and 2 touchdowns for the senior halfback, whose home is in nearby Baltimore. But the Nittany Lions must accomplish more than just beating Navy today. Graduation took Pittman's 1968 running mate, and Charlie needs some help.
In the backfield, we lost Bob Campbell, another great halfback. And this seems to put a lot of pressure on the offense, but we have a lot of promising backs who will be ready to fill this position.
Sophomore Lydell Mitchell, number 23, is one of them. Navy scouts call him a rail burner. Franco Harris, number 34, is a package of power. The 2 young runners passed their first test of college competition. Co-captain Mike Reed anchors a veteran defense. Its job is to keep the pressure on the enemy while a young Penn State offense matures. It's a job the defense will accept with pride, poise, and success. The Lions opened convincingly over Navy, a victory that once again stamped Penn State as a national power. Big 8 contender Colorado brings to University Park the largest team Penn State will meet in 1969. Joe Paterno has a theory. He says that once in a while, you win a game because of adversity. Against Colorado, Charlie Pittman is injured on the opening kickoff and will not play again for 2 weeks. It's now up to the healthy Lions to put out that extra effort. Lydell Mitchell, playing only his 2nd game, steps in and leads the runners with 76 yards. Senior fullback Don Abbey breaks a scoreless duel with this 41-yard sprint. Pittman's injury apparently serves as a rallying point for the proud Lions. Fullback Franco Harris adds 6 more with this power sweep. Those young backs are doing their job with a 17-0 halftime lead. But today is also a stiff test for Penn State's defense. The nation's top running quarterback, Bob Anderson, is the target for the Lion defenders. They respond by limiting Anderson to 4 yards rushing, low point of his career. A week later, the Colorado senior will be shifted to halfback. As a quarterback, he is intercepted by Penn State 3 times. 2 of them by Neil Smith, number 26. George Landis, number 31, picks off the 3rd, wiping out another Colorado threat. Mike Reed is named National Lineman of the Week, while Denny Onkotz, with 14 tackles, makes the weekly All-East team. The Lions add to their margin when Paul Johnson takes a Colorado kick 91 yards. The final is 27-3, and Penn State has shown it can win against tough competition without its All-America halfback. This is where poise and confidence begin to build. Joe Paterno takes his second-ranked Lions deep into the heart of the Midwest, where explosive Kansas State is waiting. The unbeaten Wildcats had scored 90 points in 2 previous games, but in Penn State, they meet a rugged defensive crew that beats back every first-half scoring attempt. Tackle Steve Smear and linebacker Jack Ham each make 13 tackles. Ham kills off another threat with an interception. Now is the time for the big play, and Lydell Mitchell answers the call with a 58-yard game breaker. Another look shows the mechanics of the play. The 2 guards pull to lead the blocking. Tackle Dave Joyner has duty downfield. Joyner delays 2 potential tacklers as Mitchell completes the key run. The sophomore filling in for injured Charlie Pittman will gain 123 yards to top all Penn State runners. Leading 7-0 in the second half, quarterback Chuck Burkhardt puts on one of his finest performances of the season. Franco Harris escorts this Burkhardt pass in the field goal range, where Mike Ritz slams home a 3-pointer. On the Lions' final drive, Burkhardt completes 5 straight aerials, including this one to tight end Pete Johnson. Then he hands off to Franco Harris for the payoff. Penn State has 17 points, and Chuck Burkhardt has engineered another Lion victory, providing the defense can hold off the Wildcats. Trailing 17-0, Kansas State doesn't score its first touchdown until late in the game and adds another in the final seconds against the Lion reserves. Joe Paterno will say, winning this game in a wildly hostile climate against a Big 8 power proves Penn State's ability. The Lions are ready to go. Unbeaten West Virginia parades into University Park to help the Lions celebrate homecoming. The Mountaineers bring with them the nation's leading rushing offense, but Penn State's defenders are waiting. High-scoring West Virginia attack can penetrate Penn State territory only 3 times all afternoon. Big John Ebersol, number 89, leads a brutal rush by the Lions' front 4. Penn State's linebackers, topped by Jim Cates, are in on 61 tackles. The Lions' secondary steals 3 of quarterback Mike Sherwood's first 4 passes. 2 of the thefts belong to Neil Smith, who sets a Penn State career interception record. He now has 14 interceptions. Watch Denny Oncott's blitz. Setting up a George Landa steal. This time the Lions are ready to capitalize on the turnover. Blocking from co-captain Tom Jackson, number 63, helps give Chuck Burkhardt time. Lydell Mitchell runs under a bomb, good for 66 yards. First Mitchell, then Franco Harris. Two young Lions with a future give State the lead at halftime. A record Beaver Stadium crowd of more than 52,000 watches Burkhardt pass the Lions into scoring position. A 26-yarder to Jim McCord sets up Lydell Mitchell at the 7. Penn State hands West Virginia its only loss of 1969, 20-0. The Lions are the first team in 40 games to hold the Mountaineers without a point. But for Penn State, a scare is just a week away.
I think the Syracuse game, the team really found out a lot about itself. It's very, very easy, you know, to play good football when you're ahead 14-0 or 21-0 or even more than that, 35-0. But to be behind 14-0 at halftime, to realize that nothing that you had done up to that point had gone right for you. Our kicking game certainly, which up to that point was a great asset to us, completely broke down, gave us bad field position. Our defenses weren't, we just weren't in the right position to be stopping their offense, and their defense was sky high and stopping our offense cold. Everything we had done was completely wrong.
Trailing 14-0 after 3 quarters, the Lions begin the long road back. Jack Ham recovers an orange fumble. Chuck Burkhardt then throws 2 key passes. One grabbed by Greg Edmonds, the other for Charlie Pittman draws an interference penalty at the Syracuse 4. Lydell Mitchell finds daylight, and the Lions have 6 points with 10 crucial minutes to play. A holding penalty gives Penn State a second chance on the conversion attempt, and Franco Harris adds a vital 2 points. 14-8 Syracuse, and now the Lions must show their character. On a perfectly executed counterplay, Harris dashes 36 yards. And with the conversion, State leads 15-14. The Lions defense snuffs out the Orange's final effort, preserving a gutty uphill victory over rugged rival Syracuse. Joe Paterno calls the 15-14 victory one of the great comebacks in Penn State history, a comeback made possible by pride and poise. The highly ranked Lions now have played 24 straight games without a loss. Sophomore Franco Harris has scored touchdowns in all 5 state wins this season. Number 6 comes at the expense of Ohio University. With crisp blocking from men like Tom Jackson, Chuck Burkhardt has time to zero in on halfback Gary Duell. It's Duell's finest game of the year as he hits for 2 touchdowns. Safety Neil Smith sets a school record every time he intercepts, but this is the first time in his career he takes it all the way. All the way is 70 yards, and the Lions are riding a 20-3 advantage. With all the fine runners State can turn loose, quarterback Burkhardt rarely carries the ball. But this 21-year-old senior, who never quarterbacked a losing team in high school or college, shows he can be a gritty runner. Burkhardt, who hopes someday to be a teacher and coach, scores his first touchdown of the season. The final heroics belong to George Landis, who blocked 2 field goal attempts against Syracuse a week earlier. Landis blocks. Mike Smith recovers for the score. When you're winning, everything goes right. Just ask Bob Halupa. As the Lions prepare for Boston College, Maryland, and Pittsburgh, Joe Paterno must keep the spirit high. A letdown now could wipe out the hopes of a second perfect season. Boston College surprises the Lions. The visiting Eagles play a brilliant first half, lead by 6 going into the third period, and are within sight of a major upset. But as one opposing coach said, Penn State has too much pride to lose. Now the Lions take the play right to Boston College. They turn loose a devastating ground attack with Charlie Pittman, Lydell Mitchell, and Franco Harris, each gaining more than 100 yards. Penn State's total ground game reaches 398 yards. Joe Paterno says fullback Franco Harris is emerging as one of the nation's best young running backs. This is Harris's 3rd touchdown of the battle as the Lions simply overpower Boston College 38-16. A week later, Charlie Pittman enters the Penn State record book. Against Maryland, Pittman finds daylight behind Vic Surma, Charlie Zapek, Warren Kogel, Don Abbey, and Pete Johnson to score 3 touchdowns and break Lenny Moore's career mark of 25. Another career first. Watch the bottom of the picture as number 80, Gary Hull, blocks a pass. Mike Reed grabs it and rumbles into the end zone for his only college touchdown. The Lions enjoyed the big play in 1969. 11 of their touchdowns came on runs of over 30 yards, including this 56-yarder by Paul Johnson. And this 71-yard burst by Lydell Mitchell. Every member of Penn State's squad takes part in the convincing victory. A victory that clinches a return trip to the Orange Bowl. One of the reasons State is in demand by the major bowls are players like Jim Cates, who says his coach is the country's most underrated player. Cates and his defensive mates hold Pittsburgh without a first down through 2 periods, while Charlie Pittman scored 2 second-half touchdowns to break open a tight game. Franco Harris tops the State runners with another 100-yard-plus day. Quarterback Chuck Burkhardt turns in the best passing performance of his career. Senior Don Abbey, a future dentist, takes his shot at the Panther goal. With this victory over traditional rival Pittsburgh, the Lions are now unbeaten in 28 straight games. Penn State's players and coaches are enthusiastic about showing a national television audience what they can do against North Carolina State. Gary Hull, the only junior in the Lions' front 4, leads a defensive charge that will completely suffocate the Wolfpack offense. A pass interception by George Landis highlights a Lion first unit defense that allows NC State only 21 yards total offense. Denny Oncotts grabs a fumble. And Charlie Pittman runs over red shirts for 6 points. On the final score of the regular season, Chuck Burkhart throws his first touchdown pass. Pittman, with 3 touchdowns, becomes Penn State's all-time career point producer. The Lions end the regular season 10-0. Again, they receive the Lambert Trophy, becoming the second team in history, the first since World War II years, to win 3 straight Eastern Championships. En route to a second straight unbeaten season, 4 Lions attain national recognition. Charlie Pittman is one of the 4 seniors to be named to All-America First Teams. Pittman, a standout student in business administration, carried the ball more times, scored more touchdowns, and more total points than any other player in Penn State history. Neil Smith came to college without a football scholarship. He leaves with a degree in civil engineering and more pass interceptions than any previous Lion. A self-made All-America.
I always say be careful before he goes off to the game, and he says, oh, I can't be careful because then I'll really get hurt. I have to be a wild man.
Well, I think that was just on the football field. You know, I think we all had the philosophy, and she still, I don't know, we laugh at that tape when we see it. The children love it. But when you're on the field, you go 100%. And I think they have the same philosophy today. If you watch your step as a linebacker, you're going to get hurt. If you make a mistake, you can make up for it just by going 150%. And I think that's the philosophy and what that implied. I tend to be mild-mannered off the field, as she'll agree to now.
This is how a biophysics major led his team in tackles. Dennis Oncotts joins Ted Qualick as the only 2-time All-America in Penn State football history. Steve Smear, named to the UPI's second team, paired with Mike Reed to give the Lions the toughest inside defense in America. His season high of 13 tackles helped turn back explosive Kansas State. Smear plans a career in education. Mike Reed was given an award by just about everyone, except President Nixon. He won the Maxwell Trophy as the nation's outstanding player, and the Outland Award as the country's top lineman. Mike Reed was a music major. In December, the reward for a perfect season. this is New Year's night in the Orange Bowl. Joe Paterno's thoughts are on how well his defense will stop explosive Missouri. And he finds out quickly. Mike Reed meets ball carrier. Ball carrier loses ball. Penn State has it. Then the winningest quarterback in college football throws his second scoring pass of the season to Lydell Mitchell. Penn State has a touchdown and a field goal. A proud, poised defense begins to control the game. This interception is by Gary Hull. It heralds the beginning of a long night for Missouri quarterbacks. There's an old Penn State proverb that says, if you take it from them once, why not twice? Dennis Onkotz agrees. This is a Lion defense that has held opponents to a school record average of 1 touchdown per game. The leader of this unit, Neil Smith, intercepts 2 passes in the game. All told, the Lions come up with a major bowl record of 7 interceptions. Leading 10-3 with minutes to play, this rugged collection of defensive heroes faces as stiff a challenge as they've met in their 3 years of success. Can the Missouri Tiger be caged for an entire game? 14 yards away from a touchdown, Missouri is stopped first by Mike Smith. Then George Landis. A 10-3 victory wraps up 30 games without a loss for this team of destiny from the hills of Pennsylvania. No one knows how long the streak will continue, but a second consecutive 11-0 season marked this Penn State team as one of the best in the history of college football. Each player on this squad has his own special memory of Joe Paterno's classic team that never lost its pride or poise.
I think after the Orange Bowl, in the locker room, there was something that I witnessed that pretty much summed up what the defense stood for and what things meant to us over the past 2 years. There were sports writers around Denny Onkotz. He was undressing, taking his shoulder pads off. And one sports writer asked Denny, he said, Denny, with Missouri's high-powered offense, how much longer do you think you could have held them? And Denny looked up at him very confidently and said, forever. And I think this probably sums up how we felt in the Orange Bowl and over the past 2 years.
This characteristic of pride and poise has become a Penn State tradition. We're confident that the young men who will represent our great university in the years ahead will rise to the challenge and the drive to be #1.